Chapter 9. Yahusha went from there to the house of his mother, for Miriam had a small inheritance. She was a careful woman, for once, when her children were young, having lost a small silver coin, she swept the floor carefully, sifting until she found it. Leaving there, he withdrew to the sea, for Yahusha liked to swim and be among the boats. Now while he was there, a great number came from Galilee, from all of Yehuda and from Jerusalem, some even from beyond Yarden and from the coast of the western sea where he was known. Yahusha bid his followers prepare a small ship as quickly as possible to take him away from the great crowd pressing about him. As he had cured so many who were afflicted, those still uncured tried to touch him, and there was a constant shoving and scuffling to get nearer, escaping the boat. He went with it a short distance to where a path led up a hillside. Climbing this to a small mount, he sat down with his disciples. The time for celebrating the great festival was approaching, and Yahusha had sent out many apostles and heralds. Seeing that a large crowd had gathered on the hillside, Yahusha stood up and addressed the people, after they were seated. In this manner, this is a night of ignorance when men wander, lost in the darkness of worldly conditions. I am the light and hope of men. These are the people I support and accept, and this is the message I give to them. For I have come to unsheath the sword of the Ruach among men and to lead them forth to fight the battles of Elohim. The sword is the Ruach, even as the body is the sheath. Let your swords be bright and keen for the fray. Be staunch and resolute, and the rule of Elohim will surely sweep all wickedness and evil, all pain and distress from the face of the earth. I accept the oppressed and dispirited, for they shall inherit glory in the kingdom of the Ruach. I accept those who grieve, for they should not be without a comforter. Is it not written, "Let the words of Yahweh be an unquenchable light within you, and they will shorten your days of sorrow"? I accept the disinherited, for they shall inherit the earth. Is it not written, "The disinherited shall be joyful amid bounty and peace"? I accept those who hunger after enlightenment, for they shall be satisfied. Is it not written, "The pleasures of the food table sit heavily on the stomach, but wisdom fills the heart with satisfaction and content"? I accept the compassionate, for they shall be compensated. Is it not written, "He who has compassion builds a fountain of consolation for his time of need"? I accept the pure-hearted, for their nature draws them closer to Elohim. Is it not written, "He whose hands and heart are clean receives the fullest measure of the power of the Ruach"? I accept the peacemakers, for they are truly the heirs of Elohim. Is it not written, "Listen, my children, and I will teach you the ways that are good, causing you to seek for peace and maintain it"? I accept those who suffer in the cause of mankind, for on them shall fall the mantle of glory in the kingdom of the Ruach. Is it not written, "When they scorned and abused me, I was strengthened by the Ruach of Yahweh, and nothing can now dismay me"? I accept those whose motives, when seeking to do good, are misunderstood, for their place in glory is established. Is it not written, "Because they have reviled and slandered you, eternal glory will be granted"? You whom I accept are the salt of the earth, but if the savor of the salt disappears, it is useless. As salt without any flavor would be good for nothing, so those without goodness in their hearts serve no purpose. As salt adds flavor to food, so do good men make life more acceptable. I am your light, but you are the light of the world. Therefore, build a strong city set on a hill, for a light shining from a hilltop cannot be hidden. I have given you the light so it may be put to use. For men do not put a lighted candle under a grain basket but in a candlestick where it can light up the room. Let your lights shine before men, so they see the path clearly. Join your lights together, so they combine to form an unquenchable flame. For while a candle is easily snuffed out, it takes many men to subdue a forest fire. Be stout-hearted and resolute, for the struggle will be grim. The foe is wily and well entrenched behind thick walls. Those who have lived with poverty and misery, maintaining a cheerful heart in tribulation, will arise to glory. Those who are broken serving the cause of Yahweh will receive a mantle of splendor. Those whose proper desires remain unfulfilled on earth will find fulfillment in heaven. Those who have cheerfully borne affliction or deformity will radiate strength. And those who die for the cause of justice and peace will inherit life and glory. I reject those who oppose the rule of Elohim. I herald a reborn world, even as I was heralded. But while such as these encumber the earth, it will not be reborn. I assure you of this, unless the world be reborn, it cannot know the rule of Elohim. The upheaval of the labor pains will be great. For though many will say, "Speed the day," with their lips, in their hearts they will be saying, "The cost is too great, spare the coming." By their fruits shall they be known, and by their deeds shall they be judged. I reject the rich who live with their riches, or those who live beyond the bounds of moderation, for they shall be humbled in outer darkness. Is it not written, "Those in houses of comfort, where they sit at ease listening to instruments of music and sleep on soft beds of ivory, shall not survive"? I reject those who gorge themselves with refinements of food while others hunger, for they shall hunger in the kingdom of the Ruach. Is it not written, "They who serve Yahweh will be filled, but those who do not will want"? I reject those who scorn the way of wisdom, seeking vain pleasures which dull the Ruach, for they shall be sorrowful in their proper place. Is it not written, "The Ruachoth of those who serve Yahweh shall be joyful, but the Ruachoth of those who reject him shall weep in sorrow and regret"? I reject the arrogant and selfish and those mainly concerned with themselves, for they will be friendless in their place. Is it not written, "The things built of selfishness and false pride will be broken"? I reject the liars and deceivers, for their abode is a place of darkness. Is it not written, "The deceitful shall not know the presence of Yahweh"? I reject those who encourage ignorance, walking stiff-necked, their hearts an unopened book, for they shall not be enlightened. Is it not written, "Those who shower scorn on the words of others and close their eyes to righteousness shall not receive a righteous reward in their place"? I reject the fornicators and adulterers and those who seek after lewd pleasures, for they shall go to a place of uncleanness. Is it not written, "Only they who are clean can come into the presence of Yahweh"? I reject those who in any way cause needless suffering, for they shall go to a place of pain. Is it not written, "He who causes distress, though it be done in secret, yet he is seen and will repay"? I reject the hypocrites and self-deceivers, for their loathsomeness will be properly purged. Is it not written, "Words not written in the heart should never issue from the mouth"? Woe to all who hear my words but twist their meaning to suit their convenience. If a man says he is with me but does not abide by my teachings, then he is a hypocrite. If he says, "But I live in circumstances where this does not apply," he is a liar. Far better that such as these say, "We are against you," for until they do, the world will not be reborn. I bring light to the threshing floor of life, where suffering and misfortune are the flails, tribulation and distress the winnowing fan, and the wisdom of Yahweh the winnowing shovel. Here the wheat is separated from the husks, the chaff is thrown out, and the good grains gathered up. I come to build a new temple, and if you say, "These are good teachings," and take them to your heart, but tomorrow revile your neighbor and deceive your kinsman, you are an unstable brick. If the temple be built with such material, surely it will collapse, and those within will perish. Is it not better if it were never built? If you say, "But I am weak," then examine your defects and take the first step to stability. But examination is a waste of time unless leading to rectification. I call you to serve no mean cause, but to stand beside me and claim your inheritance. Those who dispute the claim are the ones I reject, and you must set your faces against them, even as I do. Come and inherit the incorruptible glory, which is in heaven, even as flesh is on earth. The way is narrow and difficult, for no one who has not been tempted and tried can attain his reward. He that is near me is close to a blazing fire and may get burned, but he who withdraws from the heat withdraws from heaven. Some have said, "The yoke of the Torah sits heavy on our shoulders," but I tell you, I come not to lighten but to increase the burden. Moshe brought the Torah which says not to kill, but I say, Any who releases anger on his brother without just cause shall not escape judgment. The Torah you have condemns adultery, but I tell you that if any man looks upon a woman with fornication in mind, he is no less guilty. For it is what a man thinks that will lead him to glory or decay. He who is pure in love does not defile his heart by looking at another woman with fornication in view. The Torah you have says, "No man shall put his wife away unless he give her a bill of divorcement. But I tell you that whosoever seeks to put his wife away, except for adultery or she is found unchaste, places her on the path of adultery and is therefore not guiltless. What Yahweh has blended in Ruach let no man seek to sever, but those joined in body and not in Ruach are not sanctified." The Torah you have says, "You shall not swear falsely or break an oath, though if you vow something to the service of Yahweh, the pledge must be kept." I tell you never to swear any oath, but confine yourself to a straightforward yes or no. It is needless to say more, for the word of a godly man is more binding than the most solemn oath sworn by another. If you are not a godly man, then doubtless, your word and oath would be worthless anyway. If your eye give cause for complaint, leading you towards lewdness or obscenity, pluck it out. It is of greater advantage to suffer disfigurement on earth than to be cast into the depths to suffer it there. If your right hand give cause for complaint, cut it off, for if your body be maimed on earth, you bear it a little time, but surely do nothing to prevent it remaining intact in the place of glory. The Torah you have says, "Love your neighbors and hate your enemies." But I tell you to love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who deceive or persecute you. For if you only give love for love, this cannot be claimed as a meritorious thing, when even criminals return the love of those who love them. If you only repay good with good, dealing fairly only with those who treat you likewise, how can merit be claimed for this, which is no more than criminals do? It is the same if you give only to those who give to you, for criminals give to their own kind. Can you stand by and let it be said that criminals treat each other better than do godly men? Love your enemies, but not their faults. Love those who hate you, but concede nothing to their wickedness. Give without expectation of return, then only can you lay claim to goodness and be called a servant of Yahweh. I have not come to abolish the Torah or to change the teachings of the prophets, but to complete them, adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men. But the time has come to ask, when will they be put into practice? When will men bring Yahweh out of the temple and make him a participant in their daily lives? When will men carry these things in their hearts and stop paying them lip service? I say with certainty, so long as earth and the heavens above it remain, not even the smallest particle shall be deducted from the Torah until the purpose it serves has been completed. Therefore, if anyone try to avoid even the least obligation imposed by the Torah, or to set aside the slightest of its restrictions, or teach others to do the same, he will be an insignificant thing in the life to come. But whoever lives by them, leading others to do likewise, will achieve the greatest heights of glory. Do all charitable acts privately, not displaying your righteousness to catch the eyes of others, for by so doing you void their benefits. Only those seeking public acclaim and hypocrites do these things ostentatiously. Never seek publicity for your deeds or goodness, nor let it be forced on you. I assure you that those who do these things have their reward on earth, and nothing awaits them elsewhere. When setting out on an errand of goodness, keep your right hand in ignorance of the left hand's deeds. Do your good deeds in secret, knowing they are not overlooked and will be duly rewarded, but do them without thought of reward, or they will lose their merit. Do not be like the hypocrites who pray in the sight of everyone. They are being rewarded now. Pray in solitude, for your Father can be contacted from anywhere and is everywhere. Never use needless repetition or ramble on in the mistaken belief that the more you say, the more likely you are to be heard. Do not be a mere babbler of words, for prayer is not formed by words alone. Remember, your every need is known, so whatever is withheld may be for your own good. Prayer is contact between Ruach and Ruach, and should seek only to reinforce the strength of the Ruach. This is a pattern for prayer. Our Father in Ruach, may your nature become known among men and your rule established on earth, according to the heavenly plan. May your design be completed. Give us the sustenance we need and overlook our transgressions as we overlook the transgressions of others. Do not test us too severely and strengthen us against the servants of evil. If you overlook the failings of others and forgive people for the wrongs they have done to you, then the burden of your own will be alleviated. Also, when you fast or undertake an obligation, do not be like the hypocrites who lengthen their faces, going about it self-righteously, bringing themselves to the attention of others. Hoard no earthly treasures which can be destroyed by moths and decay, or may be stolen by thieves. It is far better to establish a storehouse in the heavens, for there you can accumulate treasures beyond reach of these things. A man's heart is never far from the place where he establishes his credit. Providing you view everything optimistically, maintaining a cheerful and confident outlook, you will radiate assurance. If you do not, you will shed despondency and gloom wherever you go. No man has ever succeeded in serving two masters, for his loyalties must lie with one or the other. Neither can a man have two prime objectives. He must aim for an earthly goal or a spiritual one. I advise you not to worry unduly about the future needs of the body, how it will be nourished and clothed. There is more to life than eating in comfort, while overdone pleasure soon palls. Keep this one fact constantly in mind: the soul is of more importance than the body. Think about the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap or gather in a harvest, yet provision has been made for their needs. Do you think any less consideration has been given to your welfare? Trust in the powers above, and when things go wrong, try to understand the reason. When you are being tried by tribulation, try and see the objective of the test. Is there anyone among you who, by thought alone, can add an arm's length to his height? Worry is a useless activity of the mind, so why worry about food and clothing? Look how the wildflowers grow in the meadows. They do not toil or spin. Yet Solomon in full regalia was not attired so attractively as one of these. If such beauty is bestowed on wildflowers, which can display it for only a few days before being consumed, shall Yahweh not give much more attention to you, his children? Or have you no faith in anything? Therefore, worry less about material things, and concentrate more on the spiritual, making the cause of Elohim your main concern. Do this, and all other things will come within your reach. Do not worry about tomorrow, for it will look after itself. Each day will bring you sufficient problems without the need to worry about those of other days. There is no reason why hypocrisy, the disease of the day, should come so naturally to men. But which of you is not contaminated by it? How many of you are self-deceivers, making excuses for these things? How is it you can readily detect the small faults in others while being absolutely blind to your own much greater ones? How can you say to another, "Let me help you see more clearly," when you are practically blind yourself? You, hypocrites and self-deceivers, first examine your own faults and failings before criticizing those of others. Never be afraid to voice your needs, and if you have a friend, turn to him whenever you require help, for this is the nature of friendship. Ask, and you will receive. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened. These things are the Torah of life, for at the end it will be said to you, "As you sought, so have you found, and according to the manner of asking have you received." It is not what you seek, but how you seek, not what you request, but the manner of requesting. Is there any man among you who, if his son ask for bread, will give him a stone, or a snake if he ask for a fish? If, then, you, with all your mortal faults and ignorance, know how to give the right things to your children, how much more able is Yahweh to give what is right for his? The things you surely do not need are comfort and content, while assurance and security open the gates to spiritual apathy. Enter by the narrow, unpretentious gate, for the road leading to the dark abyss has a wide road and attractive entrance, while the gate leading to immortality is austere, and the road fraught with difficulties. Beware of false prophets and those who would mislead you, for many seeking to promote their own ends walk the ways of righteousness, clothed in sheepskins, but are hypocrites, being ravening wolves within. Those who indicate an easy path are false guides, and those who say another can absolve them from the effects of their misdeeds expound an error. You will know them by the effects of their teachings, just as a good tree is recognized through the fruit it bears. Can the wild thorn produce grapes, or are figs found growing on thistles? If a tree fails to produce good fruit, it is cut down and burned, for it can serve no better purpose. Therefore, I say, judge men by the fruits of their labors. Some hail me as their leader, thinking this will help them in the life to come, but it will not. Only those who wholeheartedly serve the cause and purpose of Yahweh will enjoy this in full glory. Many who do things in my name will expect me to intercede for them, but to these I will say, I did not know you, or authorize the statements you made. By your deeds shall you be judged. This does not apply to those who, hearing my words, put them into practice, for they are like the sensible man who built his house on a foundation of rock. The rain poured down and the floods rose. The wind howled above and beat against the house, but it did not collapse because it was set firmly. But there will be many who, hearing these words of mine, will ignore them, and these may be likened to a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain poured down, the floods rose, the wind howled and beat against the walls, and the whole house collapsed. I herald the coming of the rule of Elohim and a reborn world. I accept those who follow my way, and I will lead them into their kingdom. I reject all those who are against my way. I call upon men of goodwill to follow us, men who wholeheartedly desire the light and oppose the way of darkness. But the road may be long and beset by many foes. Yet have no fear of those who come with swords and fiery words. Their danger is apparent. Those who will be our undoing are the hypocrites and self-deceivers who pay lip service only and manipulate the words of the Torah to accord with their convenience. I tell you this, many will come, but few will be selected. Moshe viewed the promised land only from Pisgah. Let this not be your fate. Face the difficulties ahead, overcome the evildoers who maintain the rule of evil, and claim your reward. The sword is drawn, but the battle has yet to be won. In the reborn world, the wolf shall lay down with the lamb, and the lion with the kid, and a little child shall play with them. Surely, because of their goodness and goodwill, even the wild beasts will submit themselves to the will of those who participate in the rule of Elohim. When Yahushua finished speaking, the great assembly of people was silent. For, unlike other teachers, he appeared inspired by divine authority. But within moments they were excitedly discussing the words among themselves. Then a disciple who stood beside Yahushua shouted, "All who serve Yahweh, praise him! For he has sent the true enlightener and the deliverer, and will himself reign over us through the Ruach which fills his Son. Heed these things, follow the way of Yahushua, take up the cross of life, and the rule of Elohim is at hand." There were many among the crowd who said, "Surely this is Yahweh's anointed for whom we have long awaited. Now we will be delivered according to the promises of the prophets." Hearing the things said by the people among themselves, Yahushua was saddened and said to Bartholomew, who stood near him, "Tomorrow they will revert to their old way of life and permit evil to reign through hypocrites and self-deceivers. How can they be brought to understand that should Yahweh intervene to bring about the rule of Elohim, earth and mankind will have failed him and be unworthy of his rule? Life's purpose is to produce shepherds, not sheep. But the lives of the people are turned inwards upon themselves." It was now late in the day, but many people still lingered. And a disciple said to Yahushua, "Master, the crowd was very large, and many did not hear all your words. Could you not speak to these? For, though hungry, they would rather listen to you." Yahushua said, "My throat aches, but I have bread more satisfying than that which fills the stomach, and meat more satisfying than worldly meat. My supply is inexhaustible. I have multiplied this through you, so now you go among the people and provide what they need."